OG Anunoby is extension eligible this offseason, and his recent all-defense selection is only going to increase his value. But even under the new CBA regulations, the Raptors are going to be facing a huge problem in keeping their star 3-and-D wings. So in this video, I'm going to explain what the Raptors need to do to keep OG Anunoby in a Toronto uniform. Let's get into it. This is Amateur Hour Sports. It's a YouTube channel dedicated to Toronto Raptors coverage in videos, live streams, and shorts. If you like what you see from today's video, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. You can help me on my road to 15,000 subs. Drop a like if you enjoy. And remember, this video is sponsored by the Queensway Automotive Group. Visit the link in the description to learn more about QAG and sort your automotive needs. OG Anunoby has finally been recognized for his defensive talent as he was named to the second team on the all-defense teams for the NBA this season. I gotta say, it was a very competitive group of forwards that OG Anunoby was in the mix with, and based on the Raptors' record, getting eliminated in the play-in tournament, and people understanding, even despite OG Anunoby's insane talent, they may go for some players on some more high-profile teams that actually made the playoffs, because OG Anunoby was 8th here, as you see, in all defense voting in terms of points, and beat out some talented forwards just like Jalen McDaniels and Giannis Antetokounmpo to get onto the team. And I gotta say, for OG's sake, it's about time that he got recognized for this award here, and I'm super happy to see him on this list. Now, as far as OG Anunoby in terms of his max contract, his valuation, it's not the same as Pascal Siakam with an All-NBA selection. If Pascal Siakam makes All-NBA, we're going to find that out this week. If he makes it, he will be eligible for a supermax from the Toronto Raptors, as he is also extension eligible this offseason. Getting that accolade again for All-NBA selection, that would be his third All-NBA selection, would put him in that tier for the supermax. But for OG Anunoby, making an all-defense team has no effect in terms of the max amount of money that the Raptors can offer the player. And going even further with the defensive recognition that the player is finally receiving, he was actually in line kind of to get the Defensive Player of the Year award here. He finished 7th in voting this season, didn't get a whole lot of votes here, but at least got a little bit of recognition from the NBA media. And at the start of the season, for a while there, OG Anunoby was the front runner for the award. He was averaging above 2 steals per game at the start of the season. He opened up the season with 3 steals and really set the tone, but as the Raptors' record fell off a little bit, so did his DPOY candidacy, but leading the league in steals per game as well with just under 2 steals per game. That was enough to be recognized for the all-defense selections here, and I could not be happier for the player once again. But that is where all the happiness really ends, because OG is extension eligible this offseason, and the Raptors, it's going to be extremely difficult to get him to extend here. OG Anunoby has 1 year on his contract before he has around a $19 million player option, and based on his talent, based on the recognition that he gets around the league, and the understanding that this is like the last piece of a championship puzzle for a lot of teams around the league, he is going to be worth a lot more than that. So the Raptors are really going to want to tie him down right now so they don't have to deal with any free agency shenanigans in the next offseason that they are currently dealing with for Jakob Poeltl, Fred VanVleet, and Gary Trent Jr. We want to make sure we have this player locked in. The Raptors front office have very high ratings for OG Anunoby and probably feel as though he can be an exceptional player for this team, whatever our situation is. If we're a team that kind of falls back a little bit, focusing on the draft, but we can give OG Anunoby the bigger offensive role that he's been craving for this team all throughout the season. If we want to be a good team, like I said, OG is a piece that can complement pretty much any team in the entire NBA. He can fit right in with the rest of the NBA. So if he does hit the free agency market, there is going to be a massive queue of teams looking to provide him with an offer. The Raptors are not going to want to have to deal with that, but the issue is it likely won't be their choice. Under the previous CBA regulations, the Raptors could only offer OG 120% of his current contract value. And the issue for OG is that he's on such a team-friendly deal when he signed that 4-year, $72 million contract that he can only go up to just over $100 million per year under the previous CBA regulations. So as far as my understanding goes, it would be a little bit backloaded, but he'd be averaging around $25 million a year, which I think is pretty good valuation for both parties for OG Anunoby. But he probably feels as though he can get more, especially with the bidding war that likely would be going on with teams around the league. The Raptors were certainly hoping that in the new CBA regulations, as salaries are going to increase, as the ability to extend players, you have a little bit more wiggle room as a team. The Raptors were certainly hoping for better than what actually came of the newly agreed CBA regulations. And as we see in the new ones, to my understanding, you can now extend players up to 140% of their previous contract. Now, this is a little bit better of a situation for OG Anunoby. What I didn't make clear here is that the 140% applies to the first year of his next contract, which would be just over $26 million, but the salary can grow year after year, which equates to the $117 million that I referenced. All of a sudden, the max that the Raptors can offer OG with an extension goes to just under $117 million, which, for the mathematicians out there, is just a little bit under $30 million a year, which to many people watching this, that could seem like crazy money for OG, but the reality is, as the cap increases, as teams understand the insane defensive talent this player possesses, along with the three-point shooting that he offers, along with the ability to score that he offers, commanding a defense, there are so many great qualities and attributes to OG Anunoby, and there's going to be so many teams lining up that OG might think that if he tests the free agent market, he could get a little bit extra than that. But that is the max that the Raptors can offer the player in terms of an extension. And even though I feel as though that's probably about where I would want him to sign, the player, I think it would be within his best interest to take this next season here. See where the Raptors are at. They may not be the best team next season. Can he improve his offensive game? Can he improve his offensive role? And then at the end of that season, can he work on locking in a bigger deal with a different team as he hits the free agent market? Now, what is good about OG Anunoby hitting the free agent market from a Raptors perspective is because we are the team that drafted him, we have the ability to sign him to a longer deal than any other team would be capable of, and for more money than any team would be capable of, while going a little bit over the cap and not paying tax on that contracts. We'll have OG Anunoby's bird rights, and because we're the team that drafted him, once again, we can offer him that 5-year deal that other teams would not be able to give him. That's a great case for us in order to bring OG to our team, but assessing the interest that he generated at the most recent NBA trade deadline, like there's going to be almost every single team in the NBA lining up to give this guy an offer. And if OG wants to go and get a different role somewhere else, OG wants a bigger offensive role, wants to go with a team that is more suited to contending right now, I don't believe the Raptors are going to be that in the next couple of seasons, unfortunately. It could be enticing for him to go somewhere else. Now, the player has not outright said he wants to leave. In fact, he said quite the opposite. He said he likes being in Toronto. He likes it here. He likes his teammates. He likes the city. He likes his coaches. All of these things are great, but as other teams come knocking, we really run the risk as a Raptors team here of losing the player who is so important to what we do as an organization. So what the Raptors are going to have to do this offseason, they're probably going to offer him that maximum extension that he's eligible to get, $117 million over 4 years, backloaded. That contract, when you get through the contract, as you go through the years of OG Anunoby on the deal, that might seem a lot on the surface, but it's backloaded as we continue to move forward, as cap goes up, as the NBA profitability seems to continue to grow. That won't be nearly as bad of a contract you might be looking at right now. That's a contract that is going to make sense now and probably make a lot more sense in the near future. You'll have to trust me on that one as I'm saying it. The NBA cap is going to continue to grow, and this is the valuation for OG Anunoby. That's just what it is. They're going to have to offer him that amount of money. He may not take it. Maybe he does, but he may not take it. He may roll the dice a little bit on next season. Now, don't like talking about injuries in this way, but OG has had injury history in the past. This season, it was pretty good. He stayed relatively healthy this season, but it is a little bit more of a risk for the player to bet on himself in a way, turn down that extension, and play out the last season of his contract before testing free agency, just because if there are any injury concerns, maybe that does hinder his value a little bit. I'm not sure he's going to be extremely focused on that aspect going into next season as far as his contract valuation. I'd be a little bit surprised if he took the extension that we are capable of offering him, which will lead us in the position where he's going to test free agency, and we just have to hope he chooses us to sign for. If the Raptors are really scared about that, we're worried that he could leave for free, trade possibilities once again are going to come up. There were trade negotiations at the trade deadline in 2023 here where teams are offering 3 first-round picks for OG. Masai wanted 3 first-round picks as well as a good young player. Teams were not willing to offer that. Perhaps they're willing to offer that this season. Perhaps they are willing to offer stuff at the trade deadline for the upcoming season. I find that unlikely because at that point he'd be technically on a rental contract, but it's a very complicated situation with OG Anunoby, and to me it feels like for the next 12 months we're going to be talking about OG as a free agent and what is potentially at stake for the Raptors losing their star 3 and D forward. Props to OG for making the all-defense team, finally recognized for his defensive talent, being able to guard every position in the court, going from guarding guys like Tatum to Doncic to Jokic on a night-to-night basis. That's impressive. I wish the best for OG Anunoby, and I really want that future to be with Toronto. What do you guys make of this OG Anunoby situation? Do you think that even the extension we can offer him right now, 117 for 4 years, is too much? What do you think his valuation is? Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below, because that is it for me for today. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy, hit that like button and subscribe to Amateur Sports for more Raptors content just like this.